Hey there, I'm Adobe Stock Artist Evangelist Matt Hayward. Thanks so much for tuning into this video in which I'm going to recap some of our favorite Creative Challenge entries that were submitted to the Discord channel this week. Before I get into that though, I want to announce a feature in the contributor portal that was just launched this week that I'm really excited about. It's something I've been waiting for a long time. I hope you like it as much as I do. So let's go into the portal. You upload some new content. When there's recognizable people or property, you tell the system that yes, there is, which means you have to attach a model release. If you're like me, I've been submitting to Adobe Stock since before Adobe Stock was Adobe Stock, and so I've literally got hundreds and hundreds of releases in the portal to sort through. You can type in a name to filter it out, but if you've got a group of people in an image, that can be a little bit time consuming. Not anymore. We've made it really efficient for you. And so if you are in the uploaded file section and you click the releases tab, then this is going to take you to a list of all the releases that you've got. Now, most of the releases in my portfolio are from people I'll probably not work with again, or if I do, I would submit a new release for them for whatever reason. But the vast majority are people, models that I've hired for individual shoots, or people that are just no longer in my life for whatever reason. And so I don't have a need to have those releases show up in that really long list for me to sort through. So now I can select this button that says hide. And so that release, when I click hide, it's not going to show up in my list when I'm indexing new content, which is fantastic. The release stays valid and relevant, and it's attached to the online content. That doesn't change. And I can unhide this at any time just by removing that checkbox, and that'll put it right back into the list for me. But for now, what I'm going to do is go through every one of these releases. I'm going to hide them all except for what I'm working on right now, and then only those releases are going to show up on the list. Then I can just click, and I'll be done with it for that particular asset. And so it's a big time saver. Check it out. I hope you like it. And let's get back to the Creative Challenge. And so each week at the end of our webinars, and sometimes when we haven't been doing webinars, we're launching a creative challenge for members of the Discord community to create content that speaks to whatever theme it is and post their submissions. Every week we've had fantastic content. Photos, videos, illustrations, vectors, you name it. So many creative people in the Discord channel. I've been learning a ton, and I'm so grateful for everyone that's been participating. This week's challenge, after the webinar was based on autumn trends. And so just a brief recap on that. Designers are generally looking for content for their projects 2 to 3 months in advance. And so right now you want to start thinking about fall trends, autumn trends, and capturing that content. So we had two great photographers, Carlos David, who is a phenomenal photographer. He's got a deep portfolio with stunning portraits, very diverse, very inclusive. He's got a lot of great insight. As a photographer, he shared a lot of great tips and techniques, as well as we just had a really good conversation. And so I encourage you to check that out. And then Simi Joyce, who is an extraordinary still life photographer, and she shared a lot of her tips, tricks, and insight. And we got to get some insight into how she goes about creating her work. And so if you didn't check it out, again, I would encourage you to do so. So with her still life photos, a lot of them featured food, stunning work. And so that inspired us to have the theme for this week's challenge to be food traditions. What traditions regarding food do you have wherever you are in the world? And so again, some really great entries. And so I'm going to go through some of our favorites. Attila has been posting content on a very regular basis, always really good. This week, no exception. I really like this photo. Clean, simple composition, plenty of negative copy space so designers can add text. That's really important. There's a filter in the Adobe Stock search engine that customers use where it'll only show content with copy space, and so that's really important to have in some of your work. And so it doesn't have to be in all of it, but definitely, like with this shot, I would post it just like this. I wouldn't change a thing. And then you could also zoom in tight for customers that want that. But remember, designers and customers can crop on their own if they want. So when in doubt, leave some space for them. But I like the shot. I like the action of the fork. Looks like maybe a long exposure. You got some motion blur going on with the yolk. I love avocado toast, and so it makes me hungry to look at this image. I just think it's a great photo. Attila's been super consistent each week, and so thank you again for this entry. Great job, Attila. Erica Richard posted a handful of assets, including some videos that were really creative and good, and we appreciated. I like this image in particular. It's just a nice. I feel like I'm sitting at that table, watching this woman cook. It seems like a quiet day. Like you can just kind of feel the vibe of the room in this image. It really takes me there, and so this is a great photo. Um, Great stock in general, very sellable, and just a nice job, Erica. So thanks for all of your submissions, this one in particular. Guilty Shots. After the webinar, I popped over to the chat channel. Guilty Shots was very active in there. We were talking a lot about food photography. So Guilty posted a handful of still life food photos. They're all quite stunning. This was my favorite. I like the composition. I like the reflection going on the underside there. The colors really pop. I like the addition of the water. Everything's really nice about this. So great job, Guilty Shots. The whole series was really good. Lakshmi Prasad, this is a really fun image. I think, food traditions, and so I don't know if the tradition where you're at is like there's one sandwich for the four of you. Fight it out. Whatever. I think it's great fun, and maybe they shared at the end. I don't know, but this photo made me smile. So thanks for that entry very much. Appreciate it. Elena Chavets is just, an outstanding photographer, a very talented artist. This week, she once again proved that to us. I think this photo, there was a story that she posted with it. This is a Ukrainian traditional meal. The colors are Ukrainian, and so that's another great thing about the Discord community is that you're able to tell the story of the photo of your traditions, your culture, and we're able to learn from each other. And I just think this is really pretty. I think the tomatoes with a rich color in the soup, and then also the matching colors on the towel really work well together. The placement of all the props are very good. The salt adds that little element of messiness that we talked about with simi, and the peppers as well. I like the texture of the background. We talked about backgrounds and the importance during that webinar. Simi is actually hand painting her own to create this texture that seems inaccessible to most of us, but as we spoke to it, it's like it's just a matter of doing it, getting the ingredients, picking up the paintbrush, and making that happen. And so if you do that, then you can have a winning image. In this particular shot, the wood, I like just the texture of it is cool, and it really helps the muted colors of the background really help the reds pop in this shot. And so Elena, I always look forward to seeing your entries, and so thanks again for that. Olga posted a handful of images. We really debated about which one to pick for this particular challenge. I think this image was most in line with the advice that Simi was giving during the webinar. I'm not sure if this is natural light or not, which is good to be able to tell. I'm just going to say that it is, maybe, I don't know, from a window to the left. I like that the shadow that it created on the right. Again, the background, I like the rich texture going on in there, and the contrast, it really makes those cherries pop. So it's a beautiful shot. Olga, thanks for that submission. Ovdayu, this photo is fun. Beating the bread. That's just fun to say. It sounds like a cool song title. I love this tradition going on here. The story behind it was this bread is cooked in an open oven, if I recall, till the crust is basically burnt. When it's cooked all the way through, they take it out and then they beat the crust off of that bread. And so it's just super fun, super cool. I can smell that bread through this image, and I really want a piece. So cool photo, fun tradition. Thank you for sharing that. I've never seen that before. Philip posted a couple of images. Both were really, really good. The first one was the chef, perspective of the chef reaching in and drizzling that caramel sauce over the pears. Looks like this was taken in a restaurant. This particular composition, you don't need a release, I would say. The other one, with the chef, hopefully had a model release, maybe property release, to be able to sell that through stock. But I really like the composition of this image. You got down low, shot from the perspective of the pear. It's like you could just reach out and take a bite of it. And so it's a good shot in general. So thanks for that, Philip. Roebling98, I think this photo was exceptional, and based on the story, this was created specific for the challenge, which is what we wanted. We wanted you not to pull from your archives, but to push yourself out of your comfort zone and create new content. And I think there were so many elements of this image that speak to the challenge. And so the story, as I recall, was that Roebling98 favorite tradition is to eat these candied oranges at Christmas time, but they're always purchased, and this person had never made them before, and so they made it specific for this challenge. Looks like natural light. I love, love, love the shadows and the highlights. It brings your eyes to the right place. Interesting composition. Again, I like the kind of the messiness, the sugar on the lower left side there. I like the props, the flowers and the leaves. It's not too much, but just enough to enhance it. This is a beautiful photo. Great job. Thank you for your challenge submission this week. Giovanna Graff, late submission. I got you in at the last second here because it's just too good not to include. Giovanna is another one of our just most talented artists in the Discord channel that has been so creative and so inspiring. This photo is like, it's one of those photos I look at and go, oh, why didn't I think of that? It's brilliant. She mentions the Swiss mountains and chocolate, and I know my manager Kirsten, if she's watching this, she loves Swiss chocolate, so I'm sure that this would be a favorite for her. This photo is so cool. I don't know if you were using a macro lens or what was going on, but it really does look like mountains going on with the snow, but it's the powdered sugar and the chocolate. So creative, so good, so good. So great job. Thanks for that entry. Robbie spoke to the autumnal trend that we were speaking with in the webinar, spoke to that in his image here. And so we've got very much fall themed vegetables and fruit. And so thanks for sticking with that theme and for creating this image for the challenge, Robbie. Appreciate that submission. Now, Simi Joyce, she's the exception we made to the rule because she admitted this was pulled from the archives, but as mentioned before, she's really one of the best still life photographers in the world, in my opinion, and her images are just nothing short of stunning. This is no exception. I think, her use of light, natural light, and the way that she understands it and shapes it. She's studied classic paintings and artists, and to really learn and study and master her craft, and just can't say enough great things about Simi. I recommend, again, you go back and watch that webinar to hear what she had to say about how she creates her content, because like I said, I learned a lot from it. So thanks again for that submission, Simi, and for being a part of the webinar last week. Alp, buddy, brought a tear to my eye. We challenged you directly and specifically. Alp, if you guys aren't familiar with him, he's creates this unique content that really makes you think, and the conversation somehow steered towards avocados. I don't remember what it was. I think it was someone was talking about how difficult it is to work with avocados and they turn brown and whatnot, and I don't know where it came from, but I called out Alp and said I want to see some photos that have to do with avocados, Alp. And based on previous submissions and Alp's portfolio, I was really expecting like mashed avocado on the face. Like that's kind of the obvious Alp shot. I thought that was what it was gonna be, and I was looking forward to it. Turns out there is avocado on the face, but it's a handmade, like he made props for this. Beautiful big green avocados. I think those are spinach leaves maybe to make the green the background. He posted a lot of his insight in the chat channel in the Discord, talking about having messy backgrounds and a little bit of chaos in his images. So you get some insight into his very, very creative mind. But Alp, buddy, these images, they make me so happy. Thank you for creating them. I'm sorry to have called you out individually, but I'm so glad that you stepped up to the challenge and made this happen. I just think these are awesome. They're so good. Traveler, really nice still life image. I think you were paying attention to what Simi was having to say about composition, use of natural light. This was going to be a strawberry shortcake, and I'd love to see what the end result looked like. I think it's cool that you're incorporating all of the ingredients of a recipe. I can see a number of uses for this as stock. So thank you for that submission very much. UT, nice image showing different ingredients. I'm assuming this is some sort of an open air market someplace, and showing different traditions, from around the world with different types of food. And so thank you for that submission. Zoran, I know that in the Discord channel there were some apologies to vegans and vegetarians. I don't think it was this image in particular, but I'll just throw it out there. Sorry vegans and vegetarians, but I love this image. I am a carnivorous animal. This photo is making me salivate. I think I'm going to have a steak for dinner tonight because this is it just looks like it's cooked perfect. But more importantly, the photo, it's great. It's just, I love the composition. I like how the crop, your eye is brought right to the hero of the shot, which is the red meat. The tomatoes, the texture are really cool. The color is very nice. The herb placement is really good. Even the fork and knife makes this image. Everything kind of draws your eye to where it's supposed to be. But just the rich feel and texture of this image, I can smell it. I think it's great. And Zoran, you've posted a lot of really good content with the challenges this week, no exception. Thank you for your submission. So, very difficult to pick a winner this week. We got together. I mean, there's so many images that weren't featured or worthy of being featured. Don't be discouraged if we didn't show your image. Please keep your submissions coming. But we had to narrow it down to one winner. And so for this week, we're going Roebling 98 because I think this person really stepped up to the challenge. Specific for the challenge, there was the tradition of the Christmas orange, utilizing the light and the composition that we spoke to in the webinar, and it's just a nice photo with good texture. And so we're going to add $25 to your Adobe Stock Contributor account today. And so I want to thank you for your submission. I look forward to seeing more of your work. But wait, we had to do one more. We had to do a bonus prize. We weren't going to do this. It was a last minute entry, but I mean, we called Alp out by name and gave him a specific challenge directly to him. And he stepped up to the plate and created an awesome couple of images. And so just, Alp, we're going to put $25 in your account as well, just for being such a good sport. Thank you for your active participation in Discord and your creativity. It's really inspirational. It's making me think differently as an artist. Your work is making me think differently, and so I'm grateful to you for that. And so many of you are, I feel the same, like your creativity. Just go out and create. Just have fun making content. It's just so important. The fact that you're watching this tells me that you're interested in continuing to create and to learn. And so I just would encourage you, pick up your pen, pick up your camera, your video camera, your phone, whatever it is, but make content. Don't slow down. So we've got a new challenge that I'm going to announce right now. Adobe Artist Open for Business. As COVID-19 seems to be, ramping down, thankfully, businesses are starting to open up, but it looks different. We've talked a lot about that in our webinar series about what business looks like when it's opening up, but you want to create some content that shows that life back to normal, but with the COVID filter on it. And so for this challenge, in the United States, Adobe closes for the week for the 4th of July holiday. And so a lot of us are going to be gone next week. And so rather than, pulling people in from vacation to go through this creative challenge, we're going to extend this for 2 weeks. So you've got 2 weeks to do it. So we made it's a little bit of a tougher one. And again, I want to see new content. Don't go into your archives and pull out content that you've already got. The purpose of this challenge is to inspire you to create new content. And I really want to encourage you to step outside of your comfort zone again, shoot content that you don't normally shoot in a way that you don't. Go out and talk to businesses. A lot of people, I know that's out of their comfort zone to get property releases signed and whatnot, but just, think about where you do business and start up a conversation. Maybe you can do trade for print. Maybe they need some new content for their website and it becomes a win-win situation. And so you've got 2 weeks to do it. You want to think about and create your entry in that time, post it to the Discord channel, but visualize ways your community is opening up for business. Capture, illustrate visuals that are timely with protective gear, also evergreen, close-ups, variety in scenes. Keep it simple. So here's a few ideas. Customers picking up orders, sitting or standing in socially distant spaces, food and package deliveries, think still life or simple visuals at home, office entrances, employees at work in small businesses, interacting with customers. Watch out for intellectual property. Make sure you got completed model releases and property releases. But develop relationships with your local business, community owners, storage, warehouse, small business inventories. And so a business doesn't have to be a coffee shop. Like there's so many different things. And so Carlos We shared some images from his portfolio, people working at a sewing machine, independent, employees working sewing machine or working at a loom, things like that. It's, capture whatever business you want. And we look forward to seeing your entries in the Discord channel. Like I said, I'll be off. Won't be working for next week, but I certainly will be tuning into Discord to see what you guys are up to and just to chit chat every now and again and say hello. Hit us all up for questions. We've got office hours going on in there now where different employees from the Adobe Stock staff are coming in to answer questions that you may have, and so take advantage of that. And that's it. Again, thanks for tuning in. We're going to have a new webinar in July. It'll be the third Thursday of July, and we'll post an announcement to that when we have the details finalized. But until next time, stay safe, be well, and keep creating. Thank you so much.